Hello, and welcome to this thINK Forum webinar. thINK is an independent community of Canon Solutions America production print customers, solution partners, and print industry experts. This dynamic community is designed to assist businesses in achieving accelerated growth and productivity while providing a forum to connect, collaborate, and inspire. This is a listen-only webinar. However, we encourage you to submit questions through your GoToWebinar control panel, and our moderator will answer them at the end of the presentation. Also, this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on thinkforum.com in just a few days. Now, for today's webinar, we are excited to have Barb Pellow, InfoTrends Group Director, with us. Today, she is going to be both the moderator and presenter as she summarizes some key trends and strategies to consider when capturing the direct mail market. Welcome to the webinar, Barb.
Well, thank you, Andrea. I'm delighted to be here. And as Andrea indicated, I'm going to be talking about strategies to capture the direct mail market. And, you know, despite the surging popularity of digital marketing, direct mail continues to have a significant hold in today's marketing industry. We conducted 3 major studies in the past year, and we surveyed marketing executives about their strategies as they move forward in today's market. And I think the biggest message was that direct mail is here to stay. Actually, I think this slide pretty well sums it up. Marketers have learned that direct mail delivers. In a world where consumers are bombarded with digital media, what we're seeing is that direct mail now cuts through the clutter. And so the bottom line with all the research that we did is multifaceted, but the first thing we learned was that consumers still enjoy direct mail. It drives action. It's designed to move recipients to digital channels. It's very personal. It's flexible and can include everything from postcards to letters. And targeted direct mail offers marketers measurable results. So what I'm going to do over the course of the next 45 minutes is start by talking about just some fundamental facts relative to the direct mail market. I'm going to share with you what marketers are looking for, what consumers want, and then what I'm going to do is let you understand how print service providers are responding to their customers' needs. And I'll wrap up with a few recommendations and conclusions. First, let's start with the facts. And the first thing that you've got to take a look at is direct mail is big business. And while total marketing spend is about $101.2 billion, almost half of it, or $46 billion, is in fact direct mail. And it's on the rise. What we did is we asked direct mailers in the U.S. market what was going to be happening relative to spend on direct mail. And 56% of the respondents said that they'd be sending out the same number of direct mail pieces, while 32% said that they'll actually be sending more. And one of the service providers that we interviewed said, you know, our direct mail volume is up. The difference is that the number of jobs is up even more to hit that volume. The bottom line is that what those marketers are doing are sending out shorter runs with more targeted messages that are much, much, much more variable in nature. There's a great study out from Canada Post and True Impact Marketing, and I think it really highlights why direct mail has continued to be very dominant in the marketing mix. First of all, one of the study results was that it's far more persuasive than digital media. And in fact, it generates a motivation score that's 20% higher than digital media. It's easy. And what the study proved was that direct mail requires 21% less cognitive effort to process. And last but not least, it's memorable. Brand recall was 70% higher for those that were exposed to direct mail ads versus digital ads. Now, let's move to what those marketers out there are looking for. First and foremost, what they're trying to do is deliver not just a piece of direct mail, but a real customer experience. And when we asked more than 800 global executives what their primary objectives were relative to customer communications, it was twofold. They wanted to deliver that better customer experience, and they wanted to make sure that that communication was designed to increase consumer loyalty. Now, They also told us that print was at the heart of the mix. We asked them, of all the channels, what percentage of their marketing budget they were spending. Almost 30% was being spent on direct mail. We also asked them what the strategies were 2 years out. And what they said is 25% or a little more of their budget was going to be spent on printed communications. The big thing is that experience has got to be personal. It has to be all about the consumer. And when we asked them what their plans were relative to improving the customer experience, it was twofold. It was to deliver a much better tailored offering and better data-driven, personalized, and relevant communications. And so those marketing executives, when we asked how they were organizing their communications campaigns, said that 27% of them were personalized. They were one-to-one. Another third were segmented, one to few. Well, 38% of them, far less than half, were mass marketing in their orientation. Now, when you took a look at what they were doing in the design of those direct mail campaigns, what they told us is that they were segmenting customer data using multiple data sets. They were trying to do life cycle marketing, and in some instances, they were doing advanced segmentation based on recent interactions or frequency of interactions. But what it really says is that the success of that direct mail campaign is all about doing a great job at dealing with data. Now, the problem with that is that direct mail has its challenges. When we asked the marketing executives how challenging were the following in their direct mail efforts, things like predictive modeling were challenging. Things like personalizing those direct mail pieces and data cleansing represented a challenge. And the ability to aggregate across multiple data sources to build out a targeted campaign continues to challenge the marketing executive. The other component that we looked at was how people were using direct mail as part of that overall omni-channel experience. And what we found was that the average campaign used 3 different types of media. 35% of the respondents were actually linking print and digital media. And what they also told us was that what they were doing is when they were linking print and digital media, they were doing that in 49% of the marketing campaigns. What were they linking? Well, it cut across the gamut relative to print blended with digital media. It could be directories, catalogs, newsletters, direct mail. But what they were trying to truly do is make sure that they could make, when they were linking those channels, part of an integrated customer experience. And they were blending technologies like augmented reality, near-field communications, and QR codes to make that printed piece of mail clearly something that was part of an engaging experience and cause that end consumer to interact. The last component that marketers love about direct mail is that it's trackable. What they've got the ability to do is understand the impact of direct mail on key performance indicators. They can figure out what's working and what's not, what the conversion rates were, the response rates, and what the investment was that's required to acquire an additional customer. They could figure out the future in terms of what the customer would be dealing with, ranging from the size of a prospect database to expected contribution forecast. So marketers are clearly going to continue to use direct mail in the future. When you look at their views in the market, it's going to continue to be a key component of direct marketing activities. It's expected to continue to be high volume. There's going to be an emphasis on making it an integral part of an improved customer experience. The marketer wants to integrate that with other channels. It's going to require heavy emphasis on the data side of the market. it's easily trackable, and the challenges are going to consistently be a need for improving the quality of that data, as well as blending that with reaching the right consumer at the right time, via the right channel, with the right message. Now, the marketers are focused on it, but I would also tell you that direct mail is what those consumers like. We asked consumers, and we surveyed more than 1,000, what their perceptions were about direct mail. Well, first of all, they get a fair number of direct mail pieces every week. 66% of that direct mail that they get is opened, and 82% of that direct mail is read for a minute or more. When we asked them about effectiveness, 78% of the consumers told us that direct mail was in fact effective. The other big message that they gave us was, if you want me to respond to that direct mail, it needs to be all about me. The other component that was very interesting is we looked at this consumer base that we surveyed by demographic. What was really interesting was that when you dealt with the millennial, they too liked, even though they've grown up in a digital age, like direct mail. But they clearly expect that direct mail to be highly personalized. And if you look at this chart, what we said is, does the customization of a direct mail make you more likely to open or read it? And what you'll see is that those millennials, 18 to 24 and 25 to 34, clearly indicated that personalization made them, yes, very much more likely to open that direct mail piece. Now, the other component is that personalization and relevance is absolutely essential in terms of getting that individual to open it. And we asked them why they opened a direct mail piece. It was because it was personalized. It meant that the mail piece reflected products that they were interested in, hence the marketer knew them, or it had information that reflected their individual interests or needs. Here's the challenge. There's a gap in frequency. What we did is we asked them how frequently they received a direct mail piece that was highly customized. Only 41% of the time did those respondents indicate that they frequently or very frequently received a piece that was targeted at their specific interests. Now, we also asked them the types of personalization that had been sent to them or their family. And it was things like coupons for products that had been recently purchased. It was a promotional offer based on a product that they already owned. So those marketers that know their customers are going to get better results relative to direct mail. Now, here's the challenge. What works best? Is it direct mail or is it email? Well, I would tell you that direct mail in that battle is in fact the winner. We asked consumers if they were more likely to read an email with a sales promotion or a sales promotional offer or a piece of direct mail. The answer was that most frequently they would open and look at the direct mail piece. Now, the other component was what's most effective relative to driving them to take action. Here again, direct mail led email across all age demographics. So when you come to that consumer, what you've got to think about is direct mail is critical to the mix. If I'm reaching out to that consumer, direct mail needs to be personal, it needs to be relevant, it needs to be engaging, it needs to be omni-channel, and it's got to be high quality in terms of look and feel. Now, what are your peers doing in the industry to respond to those market dynamics? What we're seeing is they're stepping up to the challenge. What we're seeing is service providers that are reinventing or retooling their businesses with a new strategy and vision. They're trying to position themselves with a plethora of agency services in the eyes of their customer. They're working at dealing with data, and they're partnering, acquiring, or organically growing the right skills. And they're putting in place the right resources, equipment, software, and most importantly, people. And let me give you a couple of examples of what we're seeing in the marketplace. First of all, we're seeing companies emerge with new strategies to close the gap for marketers. Here's a couple of examples. There's a company out of Minneapolis, GLS Companies, that actually went and acquired an agency called Next Communications to build out their services portfolio. What they do, they now offer capabilities including strategy, data, relevant offers and personalized communications, cross-channel customer experiences, and they'll do ROI analysis for their customer base. We saw the same thing with PII, and they've repositioned their business as a data-driven customer engagement company. Now, another great example is IWCO out of Minneapolis. And I like what they do when they talk about repositioning their business, because they said, we start with data to learn more about your customers and prospects. This not only helps us create an integrated strategy, it drives creative services, and then they use their proven execution platform. But think about that. This is a company that does print, but what they're saying is every campaign starts with good data. And so that's really what's at the core of direct marketing services. And what we're seeing is that those customers are expecting more. This is a traditional set of services that all customers are offering relative to their customer base. Everybody is doing fundamental data processing. That includes data hygiene, letter text setup, custom programming and some proofing, and mailing services. Those are table stakes in the direct mail game. But what we're seeing is a migration to upscale services. And I look at companies like IWCO. They've actually partnered with an analytics company. I look at companies like GLS, who acquired an agency, and PII, that acquired a company out of Lansing called ICS to build out that data analytics portfolio. And then there's a company out of Connecticut, DataMail, that actually built a data subsidiary called Intellicent. These are all firms that acknowledge that data was going to be at the heart of the direct mail marketing. They were either going to partner, acquire, or build out organically the capabilities to deliver. That resulting services portfolio is very different. It incorporates things like a data audit, list management, audience identification, data mining, predictive modeling, doing research for the customer, channel attribution, and return on investment analysis. These companies are also making solid investments in technology. What they do, they've all invested in inkjet for affordable personalization. They've invested in software infrastructure for workflow. But most importantly, they've invested in people, programmers, data processing specialists, creative talent, data analysts and scientists, and workflow architecture specialists. They've also had to retool their sales processes. These are companies that, because they're strategic partners, aren't focused on responding to RFPs and RFQs, but rather what they're doing is they're proactively talking to their customers about how to re-engineer traditional marketing programs and deliver return on investment. They're not selling a project. They're selling a program that encompasses strategy, workflow, helping them onboard new customers, retain existing customers, and yield higher margins. They've got a longer sales cycle, but what they're doing is they're migrating into a new sales model that's really a lot more like an agency approach. They don't have sales reps. They've got account managers and account executives. They take a team selling approach and a process that supports the customer's overall business objectives. So I'm going to wrap up with just a few recommendations and conclusions. First, I tell everybody, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But you've got to rethink your business with all of the new technologies out there. We know that, first and foremost, digitally printed direct mail is going to continue to be a growth opportunity. Personalization and data is at the heart of that consumer engagement. Data is going to drive personalization and response rates. It's data cleansing, it's data capabilities, including analytics and predictive modeling, and it's integration of all of those consumer silos of data. What you're going to do as a service provider is you're going to have to work with your clients to employ integrated campaigns that involve multiple touch points over time. Print is going to be valued, but it's going to have to be part of an integrated customer experience. You have to build the right technology and skill portfolio. It means equipment, software, people, and partnerships. And then you've got to have a clear vision of where you want to take your business, what markets you want to serve, what application services you're going to provide, and what infrastructure you need to build to deliver those services. You've got to lead with data. It's going to be the differentiator in the marketplace. It creates that customer stickiness that will enable long-term relationships. You've got to be properly positioned in your customer's eyes. You can't be the print provider. You've got to be the strategic business partner. You've got to be channel agnostic, and your future success is going to depend upon building the right sales skills and processes to be that strategic business partner for your customers. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody for their time and attention. And again, if you've got questions, you can reach me at barb.pellow@infotrends.com. Thanks again, and let me turn it back to Andrea.